Well, good afternoon, good late afternoon, or even good early evening. This is Ron Wheeler, and I want to welcome all of you to our webinar tonight called the Options Paycheck. We don't start here for at least another, looks like 5 minutes or so, but I always like to start the class just a couple minutes, in this case 5 minutes early or so, just to make sure all the technology is working. I remember to start the YouTube broadcast and all the other things I normally forget to do and forget to turn on and all that kind of beautiful stuff. So do me a favor. If you can hear my voice in the chat window or in your little chat area, type yes. And then do me also another favor. Tell me where you're from. I'm kind of interested to see where we're reaching with our presentation today. And I'll start. I'm actually broadcasting from my home office tonight here in northeastern Ohio, a little south of Cleveland, a little west of Akron, a lot north of Columbus, a lot east of Toledo. Right in the middle center. So in case you didn't know, VectorVest is a company that are based out of North Carolina, but they also have an Ohio office that I work out of. My colleagues here with me tonight, they work out of North Carolina. So just an idea, just want to see where you guys are from. Las Vegas. Paul, welcome to you. Las Vegas is a town that I love very much. I used to go to Vegas like 15, 20 times a year before I had kids. Now it's like, oh, what's Las Vegas? Ottawa, welcome. Georgia to you. And John, Wisconsin. Stephen, New Jersey. Robert, Central Florida, welcome. Los Angeles, Frank, well, good to have you. David, Washington State on the Columbia River. Cambridge, Ontario, David. And I know I'm not going to get to everybody. I apologize for that. I know I'm going to miss a couple people. New Jersey, welcome. Yes, this is an encore presentation from last week. Yep, we did it last week a couple times. We did it actually 3 times last week, and then this is kind of like the final encore, if you will. Dennis from Montreal, welcome. Good to have you too. Scott, welcome. And then Liberal, Kansas, Emmanuel, welcome to you. And Bullhead City, Arizona, Vern, welcome to you as well. Marty, Harker Heights, Texas, good to have you with us, and welcome to you. And like I said, I know I'm going to miss a couple of these along the lines here. I'm trying to get as many as I can, but they always go way too fast for me to get everybody on here. So for those of you that might be wondering, hey, how are people typing in there? In the lower box, in the lower, I guess in the console for, in the lower console for GoToWebinar, there should be a little chat function there, and you click on the chat, and then you can just type in your response to me. And now I'm the only person, along with my colleagues, that can see it. So other people can't see the responses or anything like that, but you just type in that little chat box, and that's kind of how you do it. The reason I was kind of chuckling is my colleague, one of the guys in the background, John, or who was it? Todd, actually. He's like, encore, should I be holding up my cell phone light? Exactly. Encore, encore. Like we're at a concert. All right. Well, again, it's good to have all of you with us. And the class tonight, the official webinar, usually lasts about an hour, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, but we usually last around an hour. Then after that, we have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions that came in while we're doing the class, by all means, save them for the end, or you can even ask during the class too. I've got my colleagues here, John and Todd and Brian. You'll see all those guys answering you in the chat window. So feel free during the class to ask away. I won't break, but there's a couple times during the class that I'll ask for some direct feedback. That's one of the reasons why we like to get you used to the chat window. That way you're ready to go when we ask for some feedback. Now, during the class, I will not really look at the questions. Don't feel like you can't ask them. That's why I have my colleagues here standing by to help you with those questions. And then, like I said, at the end, we'll save some questions for that for the Q&A, and then we'll anything else that'll come up that you have questions of during the class, we'll hit that at that point too. So that's a little bit from the back office stuff, if you will. But we're going to start here in just about a minute. My clock says 4:59, and if I really want to get hardcore, 4:59 and 50 seconds. So I'll tell you what, I think we're all here. So it's officially going to be 5 o'clock in 1, 2, 3. All right, 5 o'clock. We are going to go ahead and get started tonight with our Options Paycheck webinar. So in today's webinar, I'm going to be showing you the breakthrough system I developed here at VectorVest to generate safe monthly income in any type of market. Now, the information I'm going to share with you really has changed my life because I trade this stuff for real, and I've seen it change the lives of so many people I've taught it to over the past 5-6 years. So I hope you're excited about it as well. In fact, my promise to you today is this. In this webinar, you're going to see how you can begin making a paycheck averaging $3,000 or more a month. Now, this figure is based on the fact that most of our clients are generating an average of 3% per month using one of our most basic income strategies. Now, keep in mind, you can do this regardless of market direction. You can do it even if you have little to no prior experience. You can do it safer than simply buying or selling stocks. And here's the best part. You can make money even if you are wrong. You think a stock's going to go up, it doesn't, you can still make money. Now, I know that 3% per month may sound too good to be true, but the truth, however, is a lot of our clients are doing even better than this. So in today's webinar, I'm going to show you the exact system I use to generate these types of returns. I'll give case studies and examples of our clients who are doing this month in and month out. And I'll show you our system so that if you learn and follow our strategy, you can do the same. I'm also going to prove to you that our options paycheck system will get better returns safer. Safer again than trading stocks or just simply options alone. Now the webinar is built on results, and not just mine, but on the results of real people I've worked with. I'm going to show you the system I taught them and the results that they have achieved. Like Brian, turning $6,000 into $23,000 in profits in 10 months. John, who grew his IRA by 112% in a year. Bob, 71% return on investment in 4 months. Mike, generating over $3,000 per month of income in his first 4 months following the system. And I'll show you how Bruce grew his account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. And I'll also bring it together a number of other client success stories. Now, this is an example of the type of trade we're talking about. This is Costco. It's from a while back, okay? But ironically, we just did a Costco trade today. It was from a while back. Costco had a great looking chart. Price was rising with rising earnings. Everything looked great. Now, had you went out there and simply just bought the stock or maybe bought an option, the stock stalled. It only rose about 1.4%, so that's not so great. But with our options paycheck system, you don't have to be exactly right on direction. Had you placed a simple paycheck trade, that 1.4% stock move resulted in a 16% gain for you in only 12 days. Like Frank, he learned the paycheck system that you'll learn today, and he posted in our private Facebook group that he made $955. Now imagine having several of these trades on each month. Now will there be losers? Of course. But the paycheck system averages over 70% winning trades. This is what results in a consistent net income. Now, I'm going to show you the trade to do that today. So if learning how to do that sounds good to you, now would be a great time to turn off all your distractions, close your door, turn off your cell phone, close down the other windows on your computer. Don't be a multitasker like me. I don't want you to miss some important detail here. You want to stay focused and give this your full attention because you'll be learning something that can make a huge positive impact on the rest of your life. Now, I mentioned earlier, my name is Ron Wheeler and I'm the options income coach here at VectorVest. This is my 24th year of trading. Now, when I first started out, the first couple of years, I had mostly losses. In fact, I actually lost almost three of my first trading accounts. The reason I was losing is because, like most investors, I was trading in a way that required me to be right to make money. If I bought something, it had to go up or I didn't make money. If I sold something, it had to go down or I didn't make money. So right off the bat, probability is not really on your side. Now, I became very adept at technical analysis. I learned a lot about chart patterns, and I also had an edge. I worked for a company that developed analysis software. So I had some of the best traders in the world to coach me through my problems. Now, once you become good at market analysis, that's only step one. Step two is now you've got to learn to manage the money, the portfolio. If you're 60% right on your trades, that's great. But it's not good if you're only making $100 or $1,000 on the winner and you're losing $4,000 when you lose. So being a successful investor is the delicate balancing act of not only being right more than you're wrong, but also trying to figure out where to take profits, trying to figure out where to put your stop. It's not easy. Now, fast forward, I was never a big options guy. I never really liked trading options. I heard a lot of horror stories about options and I was never interested. One of my clients at the time was a hedge fund trader in the Midwest. He came to our office and he was talking to me and he's like, Ron, I know you've been hesitant about options, but let me show you what I do with them and how we do this in a commercial setting. And I want to show you how you're going to like it. So long story short, he kind of showed me the secret to the big money trades in the institutions. He showed me a method using options that even if my analysis was wrong, I could still make money. And I knew up front how much risk I had and also how much profit I can make. That takes out two of the biggest stumbling blocks that you have as an investor: fixed risk, fixed profit targets, and good probability. Think of the pressure that takes off you. You don't even have to be right to make money. And the money management is basically done up front for you. That's the beauty of this. So to get there, today's journey, we're going to cover the key strategic shift to generate income safely from the market. I'm going to talk about how to win even if you're wrong. One of the big things that I learned. You're going to see the real problem that's been holding you back from winning a lot more than you lose. I'm going to show you how to trade with little risk. You're going to learn how to avoid the big mistake that most people make and what you need to do to place low risk trades. In fact, the risk will be much lower again than if you bought and sold stocks. Then I'll wrap it up with the bulletproof system that you can use in as little as 15 minutes a day. And this is how myself and my clients are trading to get that 3% average per month in as little as 15 minutes a day. Now, over the last decade, I've really fine-tuned this paycheck system and made it so anyone can do it. So, one last question, the first question I have for you guys before we start. Does that sound okay to you? If it sounds okay, if you're here for the right stuff, do me a favor. Put a Y or a yes into that chat window. All right, good deal. Donald, you were actually first. Paul second. Then now they're flying by. I can't read them all. Hamad, John, and Simon, George, Ernest, Diane, Rick, Chandra. Welcome to all of you guys as well. And Jim and George and Stephen. All right, good deal. So I know I'm going to miss a bunch of them, but let's just go ahead and start hitting this. Now, ultimately, why is this such an important topic? To understand why this is important, I'm going to ask you a question. Just think about it. You don't have to type in a response. Why do we work in the first place? If you surveyed maybe 100 people and asked them why they go to work in the first place, you might get a bunch of responses like it's a contribution or a sense of achievement. It gives us purpose, right? I would agree with all three of those. But the overwhelming answer is for the paycheck. That's why we do it. The paycheck enables us to live well today, hopefully, and put enough away for the future so one day we won't have to work anymore. Now, the hard truth is without a system to help you generate the income you need, we're kind of stuck trading our time, which is our lives in a sense, for money. In other words, without an income system, it's on you. And this creates a number of problems for us. If we aren't retired, it keeps us stuck in a situation where we have to work in order to live. That's what I mean by trading time or lives for money. Whether you've got a lot of money or no money at all, concerns about finance are one of the leading causes of stress. Worrying about whether we'll have enough or if we'll run out, this can have a huge impact on our lives, our health, our relationships. It's one of the leading causes of divorce. In other words, we can't stop until we have enough. But we don't really know what enough is. So we keep working to get enough, just like the hamster on the wheel. We're taught to work for some future event called retirement when we could finally stop working and enjoy ourselves. Now, in my opinion, working to save enough for retirement on its own, it's not the best approach. If you've already retired, you might be watching that savings, that nest egg, get depleted faster than you can fill it. And if things don't improve, you may have to give up on investing and go back to work. Worst case scenario, you run out of money during retirement. Or if you're still working, your standard of living will drop and you can't live the lifestyle you want. However, with a system to help you generate income, things are a lot different. And I believe this is probably the most important point of the webinar, so pay close attention here. In order to be financially free, our main need is income. This is why most of us spend the majority of our lives working for that paycheck. However, in order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. So let me say this again. In order to become financially free, all you need to do is learn to generate enough income from your investments to cover your expenses and lifestyle needs. Now, whether you're still working or retired, the ability to generate income from your investments is one of the most empowering skill sets you can have. Now, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting you take the course and then go out and quit your day job. But when you have the ability to generate income from your investments, your life will change. If you're still working like I am, you can increase your earning capacity. It's like having a second job. If you're retired, you can still bring in that consistent source of income. Like you still have your job, but you don't. You're not working anymore. It's a tap that you can turn on whenever you want. That's going to allow you to do the things that you want to do now and when you retire. And that's why today's webinar is vitally important. When you've got a system to help you generate income, it can help you retire sooner. And when you're retired or you're still working, that system can give you a wealthier life without depleting that nest egg. So as I said, and I believe, again, this is one of the most important points of the presentation, so I'm going to say it one last time. When the income from our investments exceeds our living expenses, we become financially free, or we have the ability to retire. In my opinion, learning how to generate income is much more important than how much we earn in our jobs. Again, why do we work? We work to generate income to live. We can stop doing that when our income from our investments is enough for us to live on. And you'd be really surprised at how little you need to get started on this. For example, Brian is a client of ours who's a perfect example of how easy you can become proficient at drawing an income from the market even if you don't have a lot to invest to begin with. Now, Brian had some health problems and needed a way to supplement his income. By using the Paycheck system, he was able to generate $23,000 in profit with just $6,000. He said he had a 100% winning trade rate in 10 months. 31 of 31 winning trades using our basic system. Now, the key point here is this is not beginner's luck. It was the result of following the system. That same system that helped him start with 100% winning trades and to create $23,000 in profits when he started with 6. Now, the first thing you need to know to take control of your returns is a bit of a strategic mindset shift. You're either going to continue being the gambler where you lose more than you win, or you're going to become an option seller and win more than you lose. Now, being an option seller is the way that you can make consistent income each month, and it allows you to win even if you're wrong. Now, of course, I use the gambler and the casino analogy. The reason why you want to be the casino or the house is that, well, number one, the house always wins. Number two, why does the house always win? Because they control and stack probability in their favor. The options paycheck system is built around you stacking the odds massively in your favor. And this is the one thing that my client, that hedge fund manager, showed me. Do the strategic shift, Ron. You're doing it wrong. You need to be a seller. Now, make a note of this. In order to control your returns and results, you need to know how to control and stack probability in your favor. The house always wins because they stack probability overwhelmingly in its favor. So the obvious question is, how do we do it? Well, again, the first step is to shift from being the buyer of options to being the seller. So let me explain. Bruce is a great example of shifting from gambling on stocks to being the casino and controlling and stacking the probability in his favor. Prior to working with us, he said he had mainly taken stock tips from brokers. Bruce focused on our SPX income system, which is our basic system. He said he's not the most technical person in the world, but in the time he's been working with us, he's grown his trading account from $100,000 to $497,000 in 3.5 years. He's achieving a 74% win percentage simply by following the rules of the options paycheck system. And the whole system takes him around 15 minutes a day. So let me show you how this works. This is an example of a typical trade that you've been taught to make, right? You find a stock, you like it, you think it's going to go up, right? What do? You either buy shares of it or you might buy a call option. Why do you buy a call option? Because when you started learning options, that's what you were taught to do, right? You think a stock will go up, you buy a call. You think a stock will go down, you buy a put. But what ends up happening a lot of times? Either the stock doesn't go up, it doesn't go up enough, or it goes up after your option expires. Either way, your option expires worthless. Has that ever happened to you? Well, it's one of the reasons why I never really traded options at the beginning, because it happened to me a lot. Well, what's the problem that's causing you to lose? Now, most people feel that the problem is maybe they picked the wrong stock. Maybe it was the wrong strike price on their option, or maybe it was simply the wrong expiration. But let's talk about the real problem. If you've been losing money or had more losers than winners with other systems, it's not really your fault. That's because most of the systems on the planet teach you to be on the wrong side of the trade. You're taught to buy an option, but as a buyer, the probabilities are not on your side. And for most people, they end up buying and losing, buying and losing, and buying and losing. Right? It gets old. Our options paycheck system teaches you a new way of thinking. You need to be a seller and not a buyer. That's how you get ahead of everybody else. That is how you put probability on your side. That is how you win even if you're wrong. So let's take a closer look at selling options. I want to visually explain this. As a buyer, a typical trade gives you a 50-50 chance to be a winner. Because when you buy, the only way you make money is if the stock moves in your direction. If I buy 1,000 shares of this at 203, if it goes up, I win. If it goes sideways, I break even. If it goes down, I lose. Instead of having a buyer's mentality, strategic shift time, you're going to have a seller's mentality. Instead of hoping that a stock goes up, as a seller, you're going to strategically set up your trade using probability. Now, probability will tell you where the stock is not likely to go. So instead of needing the stock to go in your direction, you can pick a price which basically says, as long as the stock doesn't go to here and it stays in this big old range right here. Now remember, this is as a buyer, you got this range. This is as a seller, now you've created additional range underneath the stock. I can make money. Okay? Now I want you to get a kind of a glimpse here because later on I'm going to ask you for some input on where we would look for probability. I'm not way down here. I'm not right at the price. I'm giving the stock a little bit of cushion. If it goes up from here, I make money. If the stock goes sideways, I'm still in the green and I make money. If the stock goes down, look at the price underneath the stock. I still have quite a bit of green here in the terms of almost $10 a share where I can still make money. So right from the very beginning, probability is in your favor. Now in some trades, we could even increase that even more. You simply choose a lower price, which gives you a bigger area where you can be right. Now we do a lot of our trades that start off with a 70% chance of success, and you can only do this as an option seller. Again, think about that. You think the stock goes up, you win. You think the stock goes sideways, or you don't want it to go sideways, but if it goes sideways, you win. As long as the stock stays above this price way down here, look at all this room you have to make money. Again, you only get that as an option seller. As a seller, you're putting the probability of success in your favor, and this is the definition of an income trade. To me, an income trade is one where you can make money even if you're wrong on direction. So let's talk about the power of being a seller. Let's use Mike as an example. Mike was someone who dabbled with options, but said he lost on each trade. Can you imagine that? Have you ever been there? How frustrating is it to lose on every trade? Well, he did the right thing. Eventually, he stopped doing it. He gave up for a while, right? Now, he tried to go back and learn a little bit more about options, but he said he never felt comfortable he knew what he was doing. In other words, he didn't have any set criteria. So Mike and I worked together. I taught him the paycheck system of being an option seller, and he became like an income machine. After he learned the system, he immediately went out and said he had 17 out of 19 winning trades with a profit of over $12,000 in 4 months. Now listen, the key lesson here is going from that shift of buyer or the gambler to seller turned his situation around, exactly like Brian's. This is not beginner's luck. He was so proud of his results, he even sent me a spreadsheet of his trades. So take a look at the number of winners. These are all profits compared to the losers. And then look at the work days that he had to close the trades. He's basically pulling in about $1,000 every 7 to 11 days. These are not day trades. These are not something you'll be in for 3 minutes. These are trades that typically last about 7 to 10 days. Now, our most basic system, which is just an S&P 500 trade, has averaged historically over 85%. You're placing trades that have a high probability of winning. And again, think of it like this, right? No more gambler. The gambler that loses money. You're the casino. We're stacking odds in our favor on every trade. Now, the key takeaway here is this. We're not looking for home runs. Home runs look good, right? Chicks dig the long ball. Everybody digs the long ball. Let's be honest. Everybody likes home runs, right? But singles and those guys that get on base are what wins games. Scoring 1 run a game in baseball usually is not going to get you to win. But if you hit a home run with 3 people on base, well, now you got 4. You get guys on base. Get those guys on base. That's what scores runs. The singles, the double occasionally. That's how you win the game. That's what we're doing here. We're not looking for home runs. We're looking for consistency, high batting average, if you will. Okay? That's the beauty. Now, you've seen simply by flipping from buyer to seller, you stack the odds significantly in your favor. Now we're going to stack them even more in your favor by understanding and capitalizing on 3 of the most common buyers or gamblers' mistakes. So, mistake number 1 is that buyers choose unrealistic strike prices. They choose strikes that are so far away, the stock has no chance of hitting it. So here's an example. Here's a stock. Let's say somebody's bullish on this. Now, a lot of mistakes that people make that buy options is they're bullish on a stock and they go out and look at the options and they buy a call way up here. Why do they buy calls? You're basically not going to make money on that trade unless the stock gets to 230. Okay? The stock has to go up $15 a share before you can make anything of significance. They do it because it's cheap. I can buy an option up here for maybe $50, where if I bought it down here, it might cost me $1,000. What you're doing is you're treating options like lottery tickets. And listen, I play the lottery occasionally. I've never really won anything significant, but hey, you never know, right? I might win the $300 million Mega Millions. Most of the time, they lose. All right? Now listen, since there's going to be those buyers out there who will always buy, we are going to be the one who sells it to them. And when you sell them that option, you have a high probability of winning. Okay? You have a high probability of winning. Now the same goes for puts. There's people that buy puts way down below the market, right? I think this stock's going to go down. They buy a $200 put. Well, why do they do it? Because again, this could be a $1,000 option. This could be a $20 option. It's the lottery mentality. Now, there are people that buy puts down there actually for good reasons. They buy them as cheap insurance for the stocks that they own. But let's be honest, it doesn't matter why they're doing it. Whether they're doing it for right reasons or bad reasons, it doesn't matter. There's people out there doing it. And because of that, we are going to be the sellers of those options. That is how we get that 60 to 90% probability of success in this trade. Okay? Now, that's strike price. Let's talk a little bit about the second mistake, which is expiration. A lot of option buyers buy options too close to expiration. And what happens is it's like when you go shopping and you see meat. The meat that lasts for 2 weeks is $20 a pound. The meat that expires today is $9 a pound. Well, you can get a discount if you're only going to go home and cook that thing. But if you're not, you're wasting your money. Options are the same thing. Here you see what happens to the price of an option in relation to the number of days until expiration. Notice that it took over 180 days. Notice over 180 days. It took 135 days to lose half of the value. Now, after that, it dropped off exponentially. 50% in this 135-day span. The remaining 50% of the option's value in the last 45 days. People love buying options in this area down here because, again, it's like a lottery mentality. They're very, very inexpensive, but that time decay is going to get you. Now, what we do is we find options in that window to sell. Why? Because selling an option puts that time decay to work for us. That time decay is what pays our profits. All right? We're going to sell in that window. Let me show you an example of Home Depot. Home Depot has been a great stock. I actually just took a trade on Home Depot today. But Home Depot, okay, let's assume that you wanted to be bullish from right where my laser pointing is shooting, right about here, right? So what do? You go out there and buy an option. Maybe you buy it 3 weeks away. Or maybe you go buy it 7 weeks away. Well, it doesn't matter, because what's happening in that final 45 days is that option is exponentially decaying. It's losing all of its value. So every day, even if the stock goes up $1, your option is still losing tremendous value, even if the stock is going in the right direction. Okay? As an option seller, this big curve works for us. It works in our favor. Now remember, there's always going to be the people out there buying those options that have those expiration dates too close. We are going to be the ones to sell them. Again, let them be the gambler. We're going to be the house. We win. Now the third mistake that people make is they simply pay too much. They buy what's called overpriced options. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. This is a key one here. This is one that not a lot of people understand or know about. You have two stocks. I want you to look at the top here. Both of these stocks are around the same price. They're both around 76 bucks. They're only like 12 cents difference in price. But even though the stocks have near identical prices, the option premium is way different. On the left, we're at like $900, and on the right, we're at $180. Why are they so different? Because the option on the left has extremely high volatility. The option on the right does not. Now, I know what a lot of people think. Well, Ron, who cares? It's only money, right? I'll buy an expensive option. It's 900 bucks. I can afford that. I'm trading $500,000. Or I'm trading 100,000, so who cares? Here's why you need to care. Let's simulate that both of those stocks go up $8 per share. So both stocks go up $8. If you just bought 100 shares of the stocks, you just made $800. Had you bought this option and this option, here's the results. Over on the left, you actually lost money. The stock went up $8 a share, and you lost money. Over here, you actually profited $720. You basically made 300% return on this option. Okay? Now again, why did that happen? It's because that option on the left had very high volatility. The buyer simply paid too much. Now, we are going to take advantage of that. All right? We're going to be selling these options. We're going to find overpriced, expensive options, and we're going to be the seller. Why? Because the more expensive an option is that we can find, the lower amount of monetary risk we have, and the more probability we can get. So we search out these expensive, overpriced options. And when you do that, you're stacking probability on your side even more. Now, Bob has one of the most interesting stories I've ever seen. Prior to working with us, Bob was making a bunch of the mistakes we talk about here, and it cost him dearly. In fact, he said he ended up broke or bankrupt 3 times, and in his own words, came close to living under a bridge. The Paycheck system helped Bob turn his situation around in as little as 4 months. He learned to turn these mistake liabilities into strategies to control and stack probability in his favor. In 4 months, Bob grew his account by 71% and achieved a 79.1% winning trade percentage. Now remember, in order to do this, you got to be able to control and stack probability. The first way to do that is by becoming an option seller. This is not beginner's luck. This is now a repeated process from what you see from people that have actually worked with us. Now let me turn it over to you guys. Remember I told you I was going to be asking for some feedback? This is your first feedback. Have any of you out there made any of those buyer's mistakes? Have any of you ever done any of those 3 things? I'm going to take a drink here and I'm going to wait for some answers. All right, yep, lots of yeses in there, and that's cool. Yep, totally. I've made all 3. Rick made all 3. Harvey, Ernest, Jim, 3. Yep. Oh, Harvey, you said no. That's good. By the way, if you said no, you've learned how to do this properly. Now, by the way, how do I know these are mistakes that option buyers make? It's because I made them too. It's one of the reasons why I had a really negative feel for options when I first started, because I made those mistakes. Okay? Michael, not really. I just sell options. Well, you're already on the right side of the track. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. Now, we've all done these before, most of us anyway. All right? Now that you know you want to have that mindset shift and be an options seller, let's look at how to trade with very, very little risk. Now, when a lot of people hear the word options, especially the term selling options, they think it's very, very risky. However, the options paycheck system uses a low risk strategy for selling options, and this is why it's a core strategy that we teach our retirees. Now, why is reducing risk important? Well, most people who don't use the paycheck system, they're not preserving their capital. They have one bad trade wipe out the gains from a bunch of winners. Okay? That is the number one cautionary tale I always hear about option selling. Ron, I did that for like 5 months. It worked out really well. Then one bad trade came in, boom, wiped out all my winners. If that happened to you, you were taught a bad system. When that happens, it makes it hard to recover losses. It takes a long time to recover. When you do it right with the right system in place, you'll have a built-in protection plan, and you're going to be taking care of risk management before you even open the trade. Then you can confidently select stocks and set your trades up in ways that reduces risk. It allows you to preserve and grow your capital. Like I said earlier, right? Home runs look good, but those singles where the guys are getting on base, that's what wins the game. Now, one of the most common questions we get asked is this: can I trade options from my IRA? A client of ours, John, grew his IRA over 112% in 1 year using our paycheck system. He tried and struggled with trading for some time before working with us. He learned to follow the system and turned his inconsistent results into predictable monthly income. He said in 12 months, he enjoyed 85% winning trades, more than double the size of his IRA, while spending no more than 15 minutes per day on his trading. Strategic shift. Inconsistent buyer, consistent income seller. You've seen it now from multiple people. Now, the options paycheck system makes sure you reduce your risk even before you open the trade. Now, first off, we choose stocks that are low risk. We have a very specific criteria, but in general, if we're bullish, we start by focusing on good stocks that are already rising in price, similar to what you would see here. Now, instead of selling an option what's called naked, we're going to sell with protection. So let me show you how to do that. Traditional option selling systems leave you with all of this risk. All right, that's unacceptable. This is one bad trade wipes out a bunch of winners. Okay, unacceptable. The paycheck system, we're going to reduce that risk to this. All right, now it's one bad trade maybe wipes out 1.5 winners. Okay, let's look at how this works. This is, again, a graph of a typical stock we'd be bullish on. It's a beautiful graph. It's understandably bullish on a stock that looks like this. Now, traditionally, people would buy the stock here, right? They may even buy a call and use that as the strike price. Now, remember, you're not a buyer anymore. You're the seller. Here's what you're going to do. In a bullish market, you are going to sell a put below the stock price. In this case, the stock's at 138. We're going to sell a put at 135. Now, when you sell that put, you get paid. You actually do receive a premium. It's like when you pay your premiums for car insurance, right? You send a check to Progressive or Geico, wherever you use, it doesn't matter. They cash your check, they receive premium. All right? Now, in a perfect world, you don't get any accidents and they keep that premium. In a perfect world, this stock will go up and we'll keep that premium. But the problem is, by having that there, you are now risking all of this. Okay? Not cool. There's no downside protection here in case the stock drops. So what we need to do is use a built-in protection plan. What we're going to do is we are going to buy a put down here. This acts as our insurance leg. Now, buying this put has reduced your risk only to that amount. All right? Now, that protection does actually cost us something, just so you know. All right? That protection costs us something. We're going to use some of the premium that we received when we sold the option and buy a put as insurance. So in this case, we received $200 per contract when we sold the put. We're going to use $100 of that to buy a put as insurance. So at the end result of this trade, I'm going to collect $100. Now, $100 doesn't seem like a lot, big deal, right? But it adds up. If you did this with, let's say, 10 contracts, you would receive $1,000 credit. All right? Again, you get paid to place this high probability trade. Now, the net result here is this. We chose this stock because we think it's going to go up. If it goes up, we make money. If it goes sideways, time decay makes us money. Even if it goes down a little bit, it still gives us room to make money. And if it goes down too far, we would simply exit the trade. Okay? Just like when you buy a stock, right? If you buy a stock at $100 a share, I hope that you don't let that stock go to like 60. You have what's called a stop in place. Same thing with this. A lot of people don't understand with options. Yes, you can use stops and profit targets just like you can with any other trade. All right? Now, let's do this. I want to show you some trades that I did with my clients to help you get a better understanding of how to set them up. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to call some of the stuff that we did earlier into account here, right? Remember I told you that, I'm trying to show you a cushion of where you want to be a seller at? Here's the first trade I want to show you. This is Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs was in a great uptrend at the time, so we were very, very bullish on it. Now, at the time we placed the trade, Goldman Sachs was trading right around 310. All right? Now, I want you to get into the seller's mentality. Remember, if you take a trade on Goldman Sachs, and let's just say you buy it right here, you are going to get a 50-50 chance of success. Why? Because it has to go up to make money. If it goes sideways, you break even. If it goes down, you lose. What I want to do, call into account what we talked about earlier. Instead of having a trade at 50-50, I want to have a trade at 60-40, okay? Or 70-40. Now, what I want you to understand is this. When you pick a price for me, if you go way down here, that looks really good, right? Well, Ron, I'm just going to choose 265 because at 265, look at that. I mean, the stock's at 310. What are the chances it's going to drop to 265? Well, let's be honest. It has a very low chance of dropping to 265. The problem is when you sell that option, you might collect $20 in premium and you're going to have a risk of $500, right? So if it goes against you like one time out of 10, you're going to have one of those bad trades that wipes out all your winners. So what you have to do as an option seller is you have to balance this, right? You have to balance probability, but then risk reward. I want to try to find a price somewhere between here and here that gives me that delicate balance of maybe wanting to make $100, but risking maybe no more than 120. Okay? Keep that in mind. That's my initial just quick definition of how we want to do this. So I'm going to turn it over to you guys. Goldman Sachs, 310 a share. I'm in the buyer's mindset or the seller's mindset. I think the stock is going to go up. Pick a price for where you think that you're going to have good probability, but then also a good risk on this stock. What do you guys think? And ladies, I know there's both of you. Okay, $300. Rick, 300. 295. Paul, 296. 290. 295. 300. 300. 300. 295. 290. 290. 295. 295, 300, 298. All right, I like where you guys are at. A lot of you guys, I would say, are between 300 and right in this area right here. Well, that's good. I think you're getting the perfect point here. Now, when I actually did this trade, I did it at $300. I sold a $300 put, and I simultaneously bought a 290. Now, I did this trade, by the way, in mid-February of this year. I've got lots of trades I can show you, but we only have an hour, so I can't show you a lot of them. So when I did that trade, I sold 5 contracts and I brought in $785. What does that mean? When I put this trade on, the broker paid me $785. Now, that doesn't just mean I sold it and I walk away. I actually have a trade on, right? I have a position on. What I do is when I get to a certain profit target, I exit the trade. Now, for those of you guys that are familiar with Thinkorswim, this is exactly it. Okay? On February 16th, I entered the trade at 12:30 and I received $157 from my broker. On 2/24 at 9:30 in the morning, I had to pay my broker $79 to exit the trade. They didn't make me do it, but I chose to do it. On February 24th, I paid $79 to the broker and I'm gone with that trade. That left me to keep the difference. When I entered the trade, I got paid 157. When I exited, I paid back 79 of it. So I made $390 in 8 days, 9.3% return. Okay, let's look at another one. This is Tesla. I started getting a little bit more comfortable trading Tesla late last year. I like this particular one, right? Tesla just broke above that $500 resistance, and it looks like it's going to start moving up, right? So again, I want you to get into the seller's mentality. Yes, we think it's going to go up, but what kind of cushion can I use underneath this to build probability? What do you guys think? What do you think? Okay. Now, Robert, while people are typing in, I want to actually hit that question. Sounds like a guessing game. It's actually not. We have a very, very specific criteria using options analytics that any broker has to pick these things properly. I can't teach you the whole thing in an hour, so I'm trying to just get you into the mindset of understanding that here's the stock, I want it to go up. What's a good price underneath it? So 500, 475, 450, 510, 460, 500, 450, 510, 470. A lot of 500s, a couple 475s out there. 500 is not actually bad. It gives you a nice little cushion under that stock. 475 right about there. 450 and 460 a little bit lower down there, like in this area. Well, here's where I actually did the trade. I did it at 485 and 480. And the reason I chose 485 and 480, it wasn't a guess. Okay, it's not a guess. It's because, number one, that option gave me at least a 60% chance of probability. And number two, the risk management on the trade said I would not have a losing trade that would wipe out 9 winners. Okay, so it's that balance of probability greater than 60% and that risk reward, making sure that one bad trade is not going to wipe out a bunch of winners. All right, now I did this trade in the fall. This was actually back in November and into December. I did that trade on 8 contracts. I brought in $1,560, okay, or $195 per contract. And again, for those of you that are familiar with Thinkorswim, this is what it looked like in the statement. On November 23rd, I entered that trade and got paid $195 times 8 contracts. On November 25th, I exited the trade by paying $85. So just think of it this way, right? Somebody paid you $195 and they said, you know what? Hey, if you want to just get rid of all this obligation and just clear this trade, pay me $85 and you're done. Okay, cool. I just kept $110. That's how it works. Okay? We exit the trades just like any other trade. We use stops. We use profit targets like any other trade. That's the beauty of this. After 2 days, it hit the profit targets. 36% return on our investment, and the stock only rose 7%. Okay? Now, another client I worked with is Jim. Now, you're going to see a very common theme here. Prior to working with me, he told me his results were inconsistent and he felt unsatisfied. He kept thinking there had to be something better out there. You ever felt that way? He said he wanted a way to supplement what he was doing and provide him with more of a regular income with that high probability of success. Now, after learning the system of being a seller, he said he had 21 winners in a row and returned 76% in about 8 months. And his average trade only lasted 8 days. Again, you've seen this now time and time and time again. You got Bob, you got Brian, you got Jim. All these guys went from inconsistent to where they rattled off a bunch of trades in a row and started making money. It's not beginner's luck, okay? It's not beginner's luck. If you were able to do exactly what Brian and Jim and those guys did, I want you to think about this. What would having that income system allow you to do? Think about it. Do me a favor. Give me some examples in the chat window. You're creating an income system that gives you a second income. What could you do with a second income? I'll give you an example. Vacations. I'm going on vacation at the end of the month. You know, allows me to do that. I just did a lot of renovations to my house. It let me do that very easily. You know, I didn't have to worry about it. New golf clubs, Donald. I love it. Grow account faster than other Donald. There's Donald R and Donald B. Pay off the debt I created. Excellent. Pay my health insurance. That's a big one too. Okay. And then Bob, you mentioned about risk, but yeah, Todd answered that question perfect for you. Retire early. Donate to charity. Okay. These are all good examples. But like I said, this is not beginner's luck. You've seen how that strategic shift from being the gambler to the casino makes this happen. It's that same shift that I did when my hedge fund client came to see me. Okay? Now, the Paycheck system makes sure that you have a guaranteed maximum risk. And it all goes back, of course, whether the gambler or the casino. The only way to do this consistently with probabilities is by being an option seller. It's the only way you can do it. Now, let me do this. Let's put this together, and I want to show you how you have a bulletproof system, which you can do this in as little as 15 minutes a day. And this is important because one of the biggest questions I get is, well, how much time is this going to take me? And it's a good question. And there's a challenge here, right? There's thousands of stocks out there that are optionable. You've got to find out how to pick the right stock with the right strategy, know when to get in, the expiration, the probability, know what to do if it goes against you, when to get out with profits. There's a lot being thrown at you. And a lot of people say, well, Ron, I don't know how to find these trades easy. It's like a needle in a haystack, right? You don't know where to look. More importantly, you don't exactly know what to look for. And people say it takes a lot of time. You spend countless hours researching these trades, going from guru, service to service, looking for advice. Without a system, you're trading blindly. It's like a mouse running through a maze where you're bumping into wall after wall. You don't know where to go. It's stressful and it's very disheartening. But with the right system, you can identify good trades, get reliable income in as little as 15 minutes a day. So let me show you the top-down system that you need. Not just any system, a straight line top-down system. I know when to place your trades, how to find them, how to set them up, how to manage them. So let me walk you through the pieces of the options Paycheck system in the order they go in. Now listen, nobody else teaches option selling this way. This is like the secret sauce. This is the beauty of it, right? Remember Mike from earlier? He never had set criteria. This is set criteria. There's 6 pieces, the top 5 build on each other, and the 6th ties them all together. We start at the top with market direction. A lot of traders ignore this, but we're going to be placing trades that are either bullish, bearish, or neutral. And we're going to be doing that in accordance with what the overall market is doing. So you're narrowing your focus, right? Market's bullish, I'm only looking for bullish opportunities. Market's bearish, I'm only looking for bearish opportunities. Why do we do this? Because study after study after study has shown that 60% of a stock's movement is tied up into the market direction. So why not trade in the direction of the market if it increases your chance of success? Quick and simple. Now, once we know market direction, now we got to have an easy way to find stocks that are moving in the direction of the market. So just trading the stocks you know or listening to CNBC or reading IBD, it might not be the best choice. What you want to do is find good stocks already in uptrends when the market's rising or bad stocks that are in downtrends when the market's falling. Now, our Paycheck system saves time in a couple ways. We're going to look at 2 main factors here, fundamentals and price trend. We have pre-built searches in our VectorVest software, which we use. That way, instead of digging through all the data, we can find a list of stocks in seconds that are matching those criteria. Now, once we find a good stock that's in the direction of the market, now it's the time for the options portion of it. Earlier, we looked at how big of an effect volatility had on the options price. We are focusing on selling high volatility options, but it doesn't stop there. To take even more risk out of the trade, we filter out stocks that have upcoming earnings. We don't trade around earnings. It's too unpredictable. We also use expiration to get that date right in the sweet spot because that's going to give you the most probability and a much better premium return. Okay? Now listen, you can use tools from your broker to help this. I use a proprietary search tool which finds my candidates in a matter of seconds. Now once you get to that point, now it's setup trade. Time to set up your trade. We want to pick the one that has the highest degree of probability based on the strike prices. Remember, options have built-in probability values. We're going to choose the strike price that gives us the best probability, but also balances that risk and reward. I don't want to have a trade where I can make 1,000 but lose 10,000. I want to have a trade that I can make 1,000 and maybe lose 12 or 1,300 on. So there are a lot of trades. I actually found in my class today, I taught a credit spread class that I do this live. I actually found a couple of good trades today. I was like, man, I want to place this trade. But when I looked at the risk reward, it was terrible. I couldn't do it. You have to have the ability to say, oh my God, good stock. Uh-oh, bad options trade. So you got to know that, right? Now, once the trade is all set up, management and repair. No more deer in the headlights here, okay? The Paycheck system has rules taking profits at predetermined levels. If a trade goes against you, I teach adjustment strategies to where you can reduce your risk. And then we also teach proper exiting of the trades. So again, no more deer in the headlights look. And then last but certainly not least, you'd like to have a tool for speed and efficiency. Okay, some kind of software that makes this fast, something that you're comfortable using. That can be a broker, that could be a paid platform like Options Pro that I use. It could be any one of those, but you want to have a tool that can do this quick. Now, speaking of efficiency, another example is Hugh. Earlier I talked about Mike and Jim, I talked about Brian. Each of them is getting the results in 15 minutes a day, and so is Hugh. He told me one of his biggest struggles was finding a system that was efficient and also worked. He said he sought that proper balance between trading and free time, and he didn't really have a proper work-life balance. Do you spend time doing that, right? Time doing things you don't want to do and not enough time doing the things you want to? Now that Hugh has learned the options paycheck system of selling options, he said he has more confidence, more free time, and is able to have more fun. In his first 43 trades, he said he had 38 winners and returned over $26,000 in 4 months. Again, that's strategic shift. This is not beginner's luck. This is knowing how to assemble a high probability options trade. Now, here's what I want you guys to do. Take out your pen. I want you to take a look at this 6-step process. Put a little star next to part of the system that you're good at. So for example, if you have a quick way to find out stocks that are likely to go in the direction of the market, put like a little star for Stock Finder. But if there's an area where you're not doing something right or you need work, put like a frowny face or something, right? So let's say you don't have a lot of experience with options. Put a frowny face on option selection. Or you've done options before, but you're losing more than you win. Maybe trade management has a frowny face. Don't overthink it. I want you to take about 10 or 15 seconds and give yourself a star or a frown. Now, I'm willing to bet that maybe 1 in 100 investors will ever know how to do this. All right, so let me ask you guys a question. I want you to share with me in the chat window again. What areas do you need to work on? What are you guys seeing in that 6-point system? What are you guys having trouble with, or kind of seeing where you need some work? All right, trade setup, trade management. Okay, trade management, Rajendra, Wayne, the bottom 4. Okay, let's take a look here. Yeah, I mean, a lot of trade management. How to spend my winnings, I like that. Management repair, Jason, stock finder, Michael. All right, last four. Wow, a couple of last fours. You guys all working together? Trade management, Vern, John, management. A lot of managements. Trade setup, Raphael, Stephen, 3 through 6. Okay, awesome. So yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, that's supposed to be so you guys know how a good system works and where you can start focusing on things that you might need help with. Okay? Now listen, once you're able to get stars all the way down, that's how you're going to be able to generate income every month and do it in less than 15 minutes a day. So listen, I can't know exact reasons for why you came to today's webinar, but I'm going to make some guesses. Maybe you haven't really known what to do and you feel like you've been trading blindly, bumping into one wall into the next. It left you with inconsistent results, just like Jim had before he put together the options paycheck system. Maybe you've been suffering through loss after loss, and those small losses are simply killing your portfolio. Maybe the money coming in isn't exceeding the money going out. Today, maybe you're just not where you want to be. Now, I showed you the secret to fixing that, and it's a secret I bet only 1 in 100 investors will ever know, and now you're one of them. You saw it's possible to win even if you're wrong. To do it with very little risk, and again, even less risk than buying and selling stocks. And you saw the system to get consistent income every month. Now, I showed you just a few of the many people who use this every day, so they'll never have to worry about income or retirement. You saw over and over the secret to generating consistent income is that shift from being the gambler, buyer, to the casino, seller. You're now going to be that one investor out of 100 who knows this secret. That means there's going to be like 99 other investors out there who will continue to do things wrong. They'll be buying options and making all the mistakes we talked about. Now listen, you can't stop them from doing it. There's always going to be those folks out there that do it incorrectly. Let them be the gamblers. As long as there will be gamblers out there, you might as well be the casino, because the house always wins in the end. Our options paycheck system teaches you how to stack probability of success in your favor. Brian, same thing. Like Bruce did, like Bob did, 71% ROI in 4 months. Jim, inconsistent to reliable income, 21 winners in a row with no losses in 8 months. Hugh, more confidence, more free time, able to have more fun, 26 grand in 4 months. John grew his IRA 112% and enjoyed 85% winning trades. So if you're like most people, you're left wondering, how do we implement this paycheck system in your portfolio? Well, you have a choice. Option number 1 is you can do absolutely nothing. Stay where you are right now. And listen, if you already have enough money to retire on and you're not really worried about running out of money, then you might not need this paycheck system. But if you'd like to make some extra money every month, that leaves you with 2 other options. Option 2, you do it alone. You could try to learn how option trades work, try to figure out market direction, learn to analyze the thousands of stocks to find the best ones, hope you pick the right one, manage it correctly. Listen, if you're willing to work hard, spend hours in front of your computer, and you're willing to learn by trial and error, you might be able to pull it off. Now, the third option is what I like to call the path of least resistance. Let us show you how to do it. I'll walk you through each piece of the options paycheck system, and in just a few weeks, you will have that simple system to follow that doesn't take a lot of time. Now listen, of those 3 options, ask yourself, what's going to be easier for you? There's 2 types of people. Person number 1 is somebody who dreams about their financial goals, but they really never take action or do anything to make it happen. You're serious about your future. Person number 2, you're ready to take action. You see an opportunity in front of you, right? Listen, you've been here for almost an hour. If you're still here after an hour, I think we're all person number 2. That makes you the perfect candidate to get started on your first options paycheck. So let me tell you what I put together for you. First and foremost is our options paycheck course. It is a complete A to Z system designed to teach you the entire thing so you can generate that consistent income every month. Our clients who've taken this course, they're averaging that 3% per month. But some guys who are a little more active, you saw like Brian, are anywhere from 5 to 15% per month with an 80% success rate. And it's taking them less than an hour a week. Now we're going to start by building a strong option foundation. You're going to know exactly how calls and puts work to confidently use them in your trades. In modules 2 and 3, you're going to know how to create income trades that have a 70% or better success rate. In module 4, quickly find and select the best stocks or indexes to trade. Module 5, we're going to know how to set up the best option candidate trade and how to maximize how much premium we collect. In option 6, no longer a deer in the headlight. So that way if a trade goes against you, you're going to know what to do. I'm also going to teach you how many contracts to trade, how much of your portfolio to keep at risk, all that stuff that you need to manage your money properly. And then finally in module 7, it's time to place your trades. I'm going to teach you what to look for in broker softwares, the things like midpoints and bids and asks and all that kind of stuff that you'll need to understand to place these trades properly. Now, one of the things that our customers really like is checklists. I've put together checklists that take you through every step of the process. That way, when you're new, you won't miss anything. You have detailed instructions on how to do every step of the trade. Okay? It's like having that security blanket. Now, before I talk about money and how much the course is, I want to make this low risk for you guys. I offer a 100% money back guarantee on the course. You can go through the entire course, and if you're not satisfied that we taught you how to profit using options, you can get all your money back. It's completely no risk. But you got to do the work, because we know if you do, you will see the results. If you don't do the work, you won't be eligible for a refund. Okay? Now, the reason I have such a tight refund policy is because I only want to work with those who are excited to jump in, do the work, and get the results. That means you have to watch the class. Okay? You can't come to me in 2 months and say, Ron, I didn't have time to do this, I want a refund. Wrong answer. You have to do the class. Watch the videos. That's what you have to do. So if you're not cool with time in this next go around, maybe it's not the right time, but you have to participate. Okay? The reason why I do this is because I only want to attract people who are serious about this. I put in a lot of time and a lot of emotional capital, and I want to make sure you're all in there with me. Okay? Now, when you do this, you'll be learning a system that can generate 3% per month. That's 36% per year. Last year, I did 64%, I think. 63 or 64, I can never remember the exact number. The year before that, I did like 50%, 54%, I think. And remember, it doesn't take a lot of time to do this. Now, a few months ago, it's actually been more than a few months now, it's October, I got an email from one of our clients. And he said, now first off, before I read the email, I want you to go back and think of how 2020 was as a trading year. It was very, very rough. It was not a good year to make, it was a very hard year to make money. Okay? Joe sent me a message and said, hey, Ron, I want to thank you for teaching the Options Paycheck course. I took your class last fall. That would basically be in late 2019. And I wanted you to know my results for the past 10 months. I keep a journal to document every trade. And so far, I've profited on 239 trades out of the 350 that I've taken, a 68% winning rate. Joe trades more than I do. I probably take 10, 12 trades a month, by the way. Joe trades a lot more than I do, and that's fine. What's more exciting, or I should say, you only profit over 100,000 this time. What's more exciting is since his knowledge and experience have grown, and regard taking only good risk-reward trades, he's profited over 50,000 in the last 6 weeks. Success rate has been 78% over his last 100, and he only takes trades with 2 to 1 or better risk-reward. I want to thank you again for teaching this simple but very effective system. That's awesome. Now listen, if I told Joe back in late 2019 that I'll give him 100 grand if he only gives me 2,000 bucks, do you think he'd take it? Would you take it? Well, I'm going to be making you an offer even better than that, as you're going to see. Now, before I tell you any more about it, I want to point something out. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to double and triple your money in 2 or 3 days, make a 7,000% return in 4 months. It's just not going to happen. That's not the way this system works, right? It's for income. We target 3% per month as a base. More than that if you trade more, okay? This is serious, though. It requires some effort on your part. If you're not going to commit to it, then don't do it. It's not quite for you. For serious people who can take investing seriously and are willing to put in the time and effort to learn the system. So if you're serious about this and ready to do the work and get the results, then I think the Options Paycheck course is perfect for you. You're going to get the entire course delivered to you live each week. It's 7 weeks long. If you cannot view our live sessions, it's not a big deal. We have recordings. You can watch our master recordings and go along with us week by week. Okay? That has a value of $19.90. Now, what I'm also going to do is I'm going to throw in some additional bonuses here. The first one is if you're worried it might be too much, there's a bonus called the SPX Paycheck. Now, this is where I take the entire course and I boil it down in something you can do in little as 15 minutes a week, right? I'm going to teach you a trade that you can take on just one symbol, the SPX. That's it. You don't have to search for stocks. You don't have to do any of that stuff. One setup rule, one profit rule, one stop criteria. Okay? A lot of our traders use this as their primary income approach. It's that good. I've been using the SPX Paycheck for almost 15 years. It's that good of a system. So for those of you that want to just do something base where you can average that 3%, the SPX Paycheck works well for that. Now, I'm also going to set you up with 7 live mastery support sessions. And I told you that the class is 7 modules or 7 weeks long. You're going to have 2 classes a week. One module where I teach you how to do something, and then one mastery module where we review it. We put it to work. We implement it. We talk about it. That way, as we go week to week, I'm answering all your questions, and I'm guiding you through every step of the way. And again, if you can't make it, it's not a big deal. You can submit questions ahead of time. You can watch the recordings that we put out there. It's not a big deal if you can't do it live with us. We also have a private Facebook community. This way, all of you can come into that community. You can share with each other as we're learning. You have access to me and my team. And plus, in our Facebook community, I also have 12 months of live Q&A sessions every month. Okay, so 12 months of live Q&A. Every month, around the end of the month, I come in there and I do a live Q&A session to keep you all on track. Now, I realize that not everybody's a Facebook fan. I understand that. You could always, of course, join under an alias, John Q, Joan A Trader. It doesn't make a difference. You don't have to give Facebook your information. You can always create a fictitious account. How you do that, listen, that's not something I teach, but you can do it. Random email, random name, whatever. One of the other things I'm going to give you is 7 weeks access to my members-only group coaching. That trade like Tesla, Goldman Sachs, basically every chart that I showed you guys in today's session, those come from my members-only group coaching. Every week on Monday, I teach an hour class on implementing paycheck techniques. I use a live trading account. I take trades. I show you how I pick the trades. I show you how I manage the trades. It's basically me implementing paycheck for my coaching students every week. I'm going to give you 7 weeks access to that starting next week. Okay? I am also going to give you 7 weeks access to the software I use. Why do I do that? Well, number one, because I think our software is fantastic. That's why. It's the best tools for speed and efficiency you're going to find. But I also give it to you for another reason, because we all work from a single platform. It's really hard to teach if you're using Fidelity, somebody else is using TD Ameritrade, somebody's using E-Trade, somebody's using Saxo Bank in Europe. I like to teach this from software that we can all use together. I will tell you this, there's nothing in the options paycheck that you will not be able to find in most broker softwares. We just have tools that are built to do this rapidly, quickly, to dramatically reduce the time you spend. A real important note, the access to all that starts the first day of the class. Okay? Now, for some of you who mentioned you're newer, I also include a streaming options foundation course. You can log into our university site and begin doing this right away. So if you want to brush up on your option basics, what's a call, what's a put, stuff like that, this will get you to hit the ground running a little bit faster. It's kind of funny. When we did that the first time, we actually had a couple of our users log into our Facebook forum and say, hey, Ron, I just watched the foundation course. Shun, he did his first 7 option trades in his life. He had 5 winners and 2 losers. Bobby paid for half the course. I don't recommend you do something like that, honestly, but that just shows you how good the information is, even in that foundation course. So here's the offer. Just a quick review. The full options paycheck course, live and also digital in case you can't view the live course. The SPS paycheck, the mastery support sessions, weekly coaching and trade recommendations, access to both VectorVest and the Options Pro software, our Facebook group with 12 months of Q&A, Options Foundation course. Add it all up, it's like $1,600. But here's what I'm going to do. Here's the opportunity in front of you. I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with a couple hundred people who are serious about generating income. If you choose to be one of them, that's great. We're going to create an income system in your portfolio even if you've never had success with options. Okay? Now, you've spent about an hour with me today. So if you want to join me, have me take you by the hand, help you install this in your portfolio, then instead of the $6,000, we have an early bird price that's only $995. If you go to www.optionspaycheck.com, in the upper right-hand corner, there's going to be a big, well, it could be big, could be smaller, depending on your resolution. Either way, there's going to be like this gold button that says Register Now. Click on Register Now, fill in all the appropriate information, boom, you will be an income trader in 7 weeks. So while you're thinking about that, think of how much it's costing you not to do this. How much money will you lose by trying to do this on your own? That trial and error idea, right? How much time and energy will you spend trying to do this on your own? And then ask yourself, how would things be different if you did it and it actually worked? There's an old expression that the best time to plant an oak tree is 20 years ago, so you can be sitting under it now enjoying the shade. Today's the second best time. That way in 10, 15, 20 years, you've already got that income system going. It's not too late to start. This is one of those deciding days. It's going to be the day you either decide to take action, set yourself up, or it'll be the day you look back and say, man, I wish I would have started at the beginning of the year. I hope you don't regret the decision that you make. Don't miss the opportunity, because I look forward to helping you and working with you over the next 7 weeks. So again, if you go to www.optionspaycheck.com, get yourself registered now before registration closes. Remember, the $895 price is only available while we're live on the webinar, or the $995 price, sorry. The $995 price is only available while we're live on that webinar. All right. It's the lowest pricing that you're going to get, by the way. After today, all right, after today, the price goes to $14.95. So you've got the chance for the next, actually, I'll tell you what, let's take a look at it. I can never remember. If you go to www.optionspaycheck.com, here you go, right here. You have 5 hours and 49 minutes to get in there for $9.95. After that, it goes to $14.95. So you got 5 hours and 49 minutes left at the $9.95 early bird price. All right? So do me a favor. If you know this is right for you, just shout out in the chat box, hey, Ron, I'm signing up now, I'm in. You can just say I'm in if you want. You can just kind of abbreviate that down. All right. So www.optionspaycheck.com, register now, $9.95. You've got like 5 hours left to get that early bird price. After that, it goes to $14.95. I don't want you guys to have to pay another $500 for the class. But if you want to pay another $500 for the class, that's cool too. We'll gladly take the extra 500. I'm kidding. We don't want you to pay the extra 500. $9.95 for the next 5 hours. All right, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to bring in my colleague Brian. Brian has been in the background answering questions with you guys, and we are going to do a quick Q&A session to see any other questions that you might have on the Paycheck system or any other things that you want to talk about in relation to what you learned here today. Brian, are you with us?
I'm here. Can you
Excellent.
hear me all right? Awesome. So, welcome to all of you who are in. So great to have you. Oh, and by the way, if you're in and you haven't typed in "I'm in" yet, just type "I'm in" into the chat box. You should be getting an email from us with all the details. Because in just a moment, we'll answer one of the most popular questions, which is when are the live dates and times. But those of you who are in, you'll get an email probably within seconds after you place your order with all that detail. So you'll get a link to the Facebook group. You'll get the directions to the course. You'll get all the dates and times of the sessions. Print out that email, save it by your desk, because the first live session actually starts later on this week. It's the first live session is going to be Thursday, so be sure to check that out. So, Ron, speaking of that, why don't we cover that first? Since I think three or four people asked, when are those live sessions? So why don't we start with that one?
Good question. So here's your calendar. We start our first session Thursday. So today is Monday, I think. We're going to start our first session Thursday. It's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's Module 1. Now, as I said, we designed the class to be a 7-week course. Now, listen, if you want to watch all of the class tomorrow, you certainly could. You can watch all of the modules. But what I do in the class is every week I teach a module live, okay? Again, if you can't watch the module live, it's no big deal. We have a recording of it. But I developed the class to kind of be a week-by-week approach. That way you're not trying to rush into anything. You're doing things in a nice, even pace. So on Thursday the 6th, I teach Module 1. Then you'll see on May 11th, I will teach Module 2. And then you can see it stays on Tuesday for the remainder of the options paycheck. That's the live course module start. Now, those live mastery sessions, our first one will be Monday, May 10th. That's going to be at noon Eastern Time. And remember, it's not a big deal if you can't watch it live. We record these. You can watch the latest recording with us. It's not a big deal. But then you also kind of see later on for Module 2, 3, 4, I switched to Fridays. This one happens to be on a Thursday due to the holiday. And then Friday the 4th, 11th, and 18th of June. So that is your mastery session schedule.
All right. And if they miss one of those sessions, that's okay.
Yep, absolutely. Like I said, everything is out there on our university site. You can view this self-paced. You can do it with all the recorded sessions. You never actually have to see the live course if you don't want to.
All right, cool. So next up, Ron, if somebody was going through the course and whether they can or can't attend a live session, what are some of the best ways or some of the resources available to them to get help? Because I know if I'm taking something new, especially if it's like let's say I've never traded options before, I might be a little hesitant. Like, how do I get help from you or the team during the course?
Right, good question. So the main avenue that you would reach us is via email. We have a dedicated email for our options paycheck students, and that's always the best way. We of course have a 1-800 number, or technically I guess a 1-888 number you can call. But honestly, the fastest way that you can bypass all of the Iron Maiden of phone systems, just send us an email. If it's a question regarding options paycheck as far as one of the modules, one of the options things, I can usually get back to you within a couple hours. If it's something where you're having a problem with the software, one of our guys can set up a session with you, give you a call. That way you're not waiting on hold and doing anything like that. Email is primarily the best way to get a hold of us because it goes right to us. It doesn't go to like the big VectorVest support. It goes right to our team of options paycheck people. So we know exactly how to answer it, exactly where to go with it, and it's really kind of like a VIP support. Facebook is also a good alternative because Facebook, you're going to see me up there, but you're also going to see my colleagues up there. You're also going to have other students that may be able to answer your questions as well, and you can kind of work together on it. So those are the primary ways to get support.
All right, beautiful. All right, so next up, Ron, is we've got a few people from Canada. So we've got Chandra, we've got Andre, just to name the first two I see. Uh, does this work for in Canada? Andre says, does it work for the Canadian stock market? And Chandra just says, how could this strategy work in the Canadian market where options trading volume is lower?
Right. Well, first and foremost, yes, it will. Now, here's what I have learned over the years is that countries like Canada, countries like the UK, Australia, all of the stuff that we teach absolutely works. The only thing I would tell you is there's probably going to be less trading opportunities because options aren't quite as liquid there, but you can still use all of the concepts that we teach. They're not like proprietary to only US markets. Now, one other quick note, I know there's a Canadian retirement account, like we have our IRAs and things like that. You have like the RRSP or something. From what I've been told, you cannot do this type of trading in that type of account. They don't let you do this type of income spread trading. So you can't do it in there, but if you open up a regular trading account, you can.
All right. So Ron, I saw some notes from people who've taken this course before, and I don't remember if you mentioned it, but if you've taken the course before and it's been over 12 months, we do have a refresher rate. We just ask that you give our team a call, and we'll be able to see if it's been over 12 months since you've taken the course, and you get it for $495, and you get to go through it again. If it's been within 12 months, you have access to all the training modules still inside of the VectorVest University. And Irene, I saw your comment, and I'm going to ask John in the background here. He's going to take a look at that for us to see if we can dig up your records for you. So thanks for letting us know, and thanks for being a client of ours. All right, so Ron, the next one that I flagged for you to answer is from Dilip, and I believe there's another person who asked the same thing, is about how much capital is needed for this type of trading. And then part two is from somebody who says, is there a max? Like, can you also do this with really big accounts?
Good question. So I would say that the minimum that you'd probably want to start something like this is like $5,000. That's a good minimum because that's going to allow you to trade like one contract of the S&P 500, and it might even allow you to do a couple stocks simultaneously, right? So I think 5,000 is a pretty good starting point. I would say that this kind of system peaks at probably $300,000 to $500,000. Now, hear me out on this, right? I've heard this kind of stuff really all through my career. When I was a day trader, people would say, Ron, if you're so good at day trading, you're making this kind of money, man, why aren't you working for a bank? Why aren't you working for this huge hedge fund? Because the type of trading that I did back then works with smaller dollars, $100,000, $200,000. The type of trading that we do here with options would never work in an institutional setting. Now, what I showed you guys earlier with my mentor that came in, he was doing a lot of S&P 500 options, so he was able to do it there, and he was doing a lot more different higher stock trades like Apple and things like that. You're not going to have a lot of success finding enough options to trade when you're over that $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 level. It's just you're going to run out of liquidity in the options market. You know, I always use the story of Bernie Sanders, right? Not Bernie Sanders, Bernie Madoff. Bernie Sanders. I'm not sure why Bernie Sanders came to my head. Bernie Madoff, right? Bernie Madoff got busted in his fund because Markopoulos said, you know what, I'm looking at this stuff, and there's no way that he could be doing what he says he's doing because there's not enough combined option liquidity to handle all of the trades that he would be making to take care of this fund. Now, it's billions of dollars, but understand there is kind of a declining amount that you can do when you start trading really, really, really big money. So that's why I always say, this is a good income approach. 5,000 will get you started with one SPX trade, all the way up to 300-400 grand, where you can start doing a couple SPX trades at a time. You can start doing a couple stock trades at a time. That's kind of where I see the power zone in this. 25,000 would be a good start, a good starting point.
All right. Next up is from Hamed, who joined. Welcome, Hamed. I know two-part things. I'm going to welcome you and also ask Ron your question, because I believe Ron actually has some stats he could share with you. He just wants to know, is there any record of the performance of the SPX Paycheck system with actual trades, or what kind of performance is there with the SPX?
It's kind of funny. I just did a strategy of the week on this for our VectorVest clients, where I did SPX. Give me 1 second. I should be able to pull up some of that for you. Bear with me just a second. All right, where the heck is it? Bear with me a second. I'm working on finding the presentation I did.
All right. Well, while you do that, I'll grab Brian's, and then if you hear something you want to add to it, Brian asks, "Hey, there's a lot of people out there who teach selling options like iron condors, credit spreads, etc." And he says, "What makes this training different?"
I
So
think the
I'll say,
big thing that. Oh, I'm sorry.
"Oh, go ahead. I'll let you in."
Oh, okay. I thought. Go. Yeah, I was. The biggest thing to me that makes this training different is we teach it from a whole approach. It's not just here's how you do an iron condor. It's here's what's stock to do an iron condor on. Here's what's stock to do a bullish trade on, bearish trade on, stuff like that. So we teach it from the whole angle of everything, not just the trade, but how to find the right trade, put it together, what to look for, things like that. I think that's the big thing that makes ours a little bit more special.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I agree. It's complete from beginning to end, from you don't know anything all the way through to placing the trade with the broker, and it's a system that works. Right? It's not just like Ron said, here's the trade, good luck. Plus, the other thing that makes it different is the amount of hand holding that we do throughout the course. We teach it, we're there for you through the mastery sessions. We get in there, we show you how to find the trades, get in there with the broker, place the trade. So there's a lot of hand holding and resources available to you throughout the course. And the money back guarantee is there for you just in case you disagree with us. You say, hey, you know what? You didn't teach me this. And we think that you'll be at the end and you'll be like, wow, I can't believe I got all that. So I'm going to pass it back over to Ron. It looks like you got some data.
Yep, there it is right there. So I just actually did a special presentation about our SPX system. So this is all of our trades since January 2020. So over that time, we had 65 SPX trades, 39 winners and 26 losers, with a 32% overall return. Now, if you're wondering, how does that figure 32% return? That's based on $5,000. So if you had a $5,000 account, you would have a 32% return on that $5,000. Now, if you had a $20,000 account, well, you still have a 32% return. It doesn't like scale differently. If you traded 100,000, you'd have a 32% return. Now that's since January 2020. In 2019, we were at 36%, 62% success rate. I also like to look at the reward to risk. Every winner was about 140. The losers were 147 per contract, 36% return. 2018, a little bit lower that year. 2018 was a challenging market year. 56% success rate, 20% return that year. Now, I have numbers for 2017 and 2016. Listen, they're all good numbers. So, I mean, I've tested that thing pretty strongly for a long time. So, those are just some of the recent numbers from 2018 on.
All right, I got two last questions for you, it looks like. And then we'll just recap the dates and times of when the price goes up and registration closes and all that. So I'm going to go to Michael. He says, about how many contracts do you typically trade, and is there a max number of contracts for this process?
Well, again, it all depends on the actual. It all depends on the actual item you're trading. Is there a maximum? It's not so much there's a maximum, but what ends up happening is the more contracts you trade, the more commission you have to pay. So there's usually a balancing act. I generally will not trade over 25 contracts on a position. So, 25 is usually my limit because I search for a specific gain or a specific loss. And, once you start getting over 25, the commission starts adding up. It starts kicking a little bit more piece of your pie. So 25 is pretty much where I'm at. And again, remember, we're talking about, I trade, I trade usually around 300 grand. So I stick with about 25 contracts of what I'm trading. That's been working well for me, and that gets me a good rate of return. SPX, I still stick to no more than 25 contracts. That's kind of where my comfort level is based on a good six-figure balance.
And if you're just starting out, even if you have a bigger account, you could start with one contract on the SPX. It's always you with the contract trades on the credit spreads that Ron does. You're basically learning how to do it, and you're gonna be able to place trades in real, like for real, and you're gonna make 75 if you're right. And this is based on like the past few months of some of these credit spreads in class that Ron has shown. Make 75, lose about 75 to 80, maybe 90, right? But the ones that I've done with Ron have been over what the stats I just sent you, Ron, were like what 80% win rate, I believe is what I had
Yeah,
sent you on.
I think I took a screenshot of it that I was using to actually show people because you keep much better. Well, I don't want to say you keep better stats than I do. I just don't look at my stats as often as you. Yeah, you were like
Okay.
76, and since November 16th, you're 76%, 16 wins and 5 losses,
Yep. So and the average win was $96 per contract. Average loss was 126 per contract.
which is perfect.
So yeah, you do one. You could so you just scale that up, and these are all stocks that are heavily traded. So you could do one contract, 10 contracts. If you did 10 contracts, your average win would be 96. No, sorry, $960. So it would just scale up. All right. So going back to Brian, he had a follow up to his prior question. He said, "All right, well, can we find these stocks?" If you don't remember, Ron, Brian was the gentleman who asked what sets this course apart from other courses out there on the market.
Hmm.
So his follow up is, all right, well, can I find these stocks even if I don't have that extra software? Can I still do it?
Yes, you absolutely can. Now you're gonna miss out on our fundamental stuff, but I'll be honest with you. I've been at VectorVest now for 6 years. I've been trading for 24 years. Out of the last six, I've been at VectorVest. I built this whole system and I built this concept before I worked for VectorVest. Using the chart patterns that we teach in Module 4, you can just take those technical chart patterns into something else and find those. If you have a good search engine like a Thinkorswim or an Interactive Brokers, or I think even E-Trade can do it too, you shouldn't have a problem finding stocks. Shouldn't be that difficult.
All right. So just very quickly before we send it over to Ron to wrap things up. So the price, first off, if you're an elite member of VectorVest, your price is $9.95. All right, all the way up until registration closes, which is on Wednesday at midnight Eastern time. If you're not an elite member of VectorVest, then $9.95 ends tonight at midnight, and the price will go up to $14.95, and then registration will close still at Wednesday at midnight. And then we close it Wednesday at midnight because we want to get everybody registered for the first live session, which is this Thursday at 4:30 Eastern. All right. Now, later on, you could always buy a self-study version of the Options Paycheck course, which is just basically you're buying the recordings of the course. But then the course would be 1,990. So I think this is just a way better deal because there's a lot of bonuses, live sessions, the Facebook group. Just there's an awful lot of bonuses that come with it. So that was a recap of the timeline about pricing going up tonight. So now is a good time to get in, and then registration will close on Wednesday at midnight. All right. So I'm going to, I think that there's one other person I'm going to hit up in the chat box, but other than that, I'm going to pass it on over to you, Ron, to wrap things up for the night.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you, John and Todd in the background as well. And I want to thank all of you for spending your last hour in, how long has it been? 28 minutes with me. I appreciate it. I look forward to, I know a couple of you announced that you were in. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys on Thursday, helping you over the next 7 weeks to really put this system into place for you. I really, again, I think that it works very, very well. I've been doing this for over 15 years now, trading for 24. This has really been the best success I've had teaching people how to trade and constantly create income. So thank you guys once again. I appreciate it. I'll see hopefully all of you on Thursday. And if not, I wish the best of success to you all in 2021 and years beyond. Take care, everybody, and good night. Thanks for coming.